You're listening to Biz-Souls, the business podcast with an edge, hosted by me, Rona Lewis, and Jeffrey Hansler. Tune in for perspectives and discoveries about the changing world of business. It's time to connect to the heart, soul, and humor of how business gets done. Welcome to Biz-Souls, everybody, where we get to the heart and soul of business and the people who make it happen. I'm Rona Lewis.
I'm Jeffrey Hansler.
And we have a special guest today, Jeffrey.
Yes, reach back into the past, and we have absolutely, it's a pleasure to have my good friend and fellow Californian now, Robin Rubinstein, Rabbi extraordinaire.
There you go. She's your rabbi, sort of.
That would be me.
Yeah. Whenever I need spiritual help in that area, I'm going to her.
Or translation when I come off with a bunch of Yiddish words that he doesn't know how to say. What the heck did she say? I don't understand.
She's yelling at me right now. What is she saying? So things like that. So Robin, welcome.
Thank you.
And thanks for being on, and thanks for doing this thanks. I really appreciate it. So we met when the family moved back to Sharon from California, and I was the California kid.
Well, you came into a community that had really not seen an awful lot of blonde Adonises. And, they're a bunch of brunette.
5'9".
5'9". But I'm tall. But I'm also.
Oh, are you?
Oh, yeah. Robin, when I arrived, I was 5'1", I think 100.
You were shorter than me. I was taller than you. Yes.
Oh my, I can't picture that.
Oh my gosh, yes. I didn't grow.
Yeah.
I didn't have my growth spurt until junior year. I went from like 5'4" to 6 foot.
Oh my God.
In the fall. And I'd go to school, my pants would be too short when I got home. It was great. So it was a huge indoctrination for me because, I grew up in Orange County, and, predominantly, well, among other things, was just predominantly basic middle class. And even though we had people moving in from different areas, there wasn't just a conglomerate of one ethnic group, at least in the area that we were in. And so I get back there, and Sharon was like 90% Jewish at the time. And the school—
It was up there, yeah.
Yeah, 75. I mean, the school was there. And oh my God, it was heaven because we had all these holidays that I didn't even know existed.
And not only did you have, but you came at the right time because everyone was just finishing or going into their bar bat mitzvah. So you get to go to all of these bar bat mitzvahs or to go to their friends, and you're like, all right, I tolerate a service for two, but look at these buffets. My gosh.
Yes.
You want to talk about indoctrination? Yeah, you go to church, you get a wafer. You go to a Jewish ceremony, you get
everything. Yeah.
You get piled high. Yeah,
absolutely. And Robin and my first meeting was interesting because Robin, and she asked this in the most lovely, curious voice. And so the background on this is my dad's Swiss German. So, and I had taken 3 years of German in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. And so I was interested to take a German, and they didn't offer German. They only offered French or Spanish. And so I was
and Latin
complaining and Latin.
You took Latin.
And Latin. And I was complaining a little bit about that. And so Robin comes up and goes, excuse me, are you what? Are you anti-Semitic or what? And she said it with a smile. It wasn't like accusatory or anything. And it was like, what's that? I mean,
well, you have to remember. Okay, so you have to remember Jeffrey came to Massachusetts in the early 1970s.
Yeah.
All right. It wasn't that long after everybody had come and found their spots after World War II. So we were all still a little gun shy of someone with a German background. Right. Look I'm Lithuanian, Ukrainian Polish. I'm like the United Nations. I'm a garbage dump of nationalities. But back then it was very difficult. And you know what? I and Jeffrey will let you know that one of my strong suits is I'm a straight shooter. You know,
Absolutely.
It's not like I don't have a filter. It's like, I need to know where you are. This is where I am. I want to meet you here. Okay. But I won't stand on eggshells. And so that was the beginning, because
we became fast friends
instantly.
Oh,
it was just, I just needed to know. Just tell me yes or no.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you know what? And it's politically, the Middle East was on fire at that time. So there were, Israel was still fighting for a foothold. And when was the, I don't remember.
The 6-Day War, the Yom Kippur War,
yeah, all of that was going on.
We're all just, yeah, you're 100% right.
Sure.
That's exactly what was going on. So people who were actually following these things, and you have to remember, back then there was no such thing as the internet and computers and immediate information, and you lived from tidbit for tidbit. And in 1971, my cousin was supposed to be bar mitzvahed in Israel, and needless to say, the bar mitzvah was canceled, because we couldn't go. And actually that happened twice more for my children. Brian's bar mitzvah was supposed to be in 1997. It got canceled. And in 2000, my daughter was supposed to be bat mitzvahed in Israel. And it was the shooting of the original Patriot missiles. That was the end of hers. So the history keeps repeating itself. So, but anyways, my question to him was, I need to know where you stand so I can stand there with you.
Yeah. And then she came over and met my dad, and my dad and mom loved her. And I went over and met her mom, and her mom loved me, except she said, pulls Robin aside and goes, he's not Jewish. You need to find him.
So I just said, can we be bestest friends? She goes, as long as it's always, as long as you stay always. And it's, you know, it's 50 years and counting.
Yeah. And even though it has nothing to do with me, you know, eventually Robin moved down to California. So, so anyway, Robin, this is about you. So let's start in the beginning. So you were very involved in Hebrew school. Yes,
I was. My first Friday with my first job was at Temple Israel, which was right up the street from our high school on Pond Street.
Yes.
They asked me to lead junior congregation at the age of 14.
Wow.
Because the person who was doing it couldn't do it anymore. And my father went to synagogue every Saturday. There are, as you know, or for those that don't know, there are different levels of observance for Judaism. The synagogue we belonged to, Temple Israel, was more on the conservative Orthodox realm. It wasn't Orthodox and it wasn't Reform. Reform was totally different back then, but it was more conservative in that there wasn't a division between men and women, but all the rules and regulations were observed. Okay. So they allowed me to do, you know, it's really funny. A lot of people from the East Coast in our generation that were growing up in the 70s were from conservative, still sitting on the Orthodox hill a little bit.
In the house, sort of thing, yeah.
Kosher in the house and cheeseburgers at McDonald's, right? Not me, but others, yes. The thing was, so I started there. Then my name came up, and the next thing I knew, at the age of 16, I was asked to be a teacher at an Orthodox synagogue. And the principal there didn't know what he was doing. Absolutely had no clue what he was doing. And the kids were running around. And I said, do you have, and this is at 16. I said, do you have anything called classroom management? What do you do for these unruly individuals that are in these classrooms? I need to know what it is. And he says, well, that's your responsibility. I'm sitting there going, I'm 16 years old. what do you call parents? Oh, no, we can't, because we need to make sure the parents are happy. I decided to teach them all a lesson. I kept them after school Hebrew school. They all missed the bus. And I said, you can go home when you can sit nicely. I would never yell at them. I never reprimanded. And I said, now you can call your parents and explain to them why you missed the bus. I got fired that Sunday. I got fired. And it's really funny because I immediately got hired back by Temple Israel because they liked a couple of parents told other parents, oh my God, this Hebrew teacher, she kept everybody after school. Well, what happened? Well, they all sat nicely. Did she yell at them? No. Did she call them names? No. All she did is she'll sit there until you can sit nicely and we can have a lesson. And that's what happened. And that started 50 years of teaching, to the point where, and I got my PhD, I was discussing the importance of class management, that you don't actually manage or order people. You give them respect and you give them the option. And that's what I've done for 50 years. And my career has followed that path. I was originally a biochemist. I worked, I don't know if you ever heard of Rabbi Harold Kushner, who wrote Why Bad Things Happen to Good People.
Yes.
Phenomenal book. Phenomenal
yes.
book. Okay. His son was my patient at Children's Hospital. I was doing an internship at Harvard Medical School. And Aaron was my patient. Aaron died 3 years after his bar mitzvah from progeria. That was my research project. So I started there, and that was a very spiritual journey for me. The beginning, yes, I've been teaching all these years, and I taught through Simmons College, and I was teaching through BU and on, but it started this spiritual thing because after Aaron died, I started reading Rabbi Kushner's stuff. And how do you survive this kind of tragedy? It has to be a spiritual. So that's the first slope that went towards the need to be spiritual. And so then I went on and got my master's in education. I got a teaching credential for California because I was a scientist, and I actually had to get a job. I taught in Hebrew schools because I have a passion for teaching. I just can't give it up. And not just teaching secular, but teaching Jewish studies as well as comparative religions. That I actually have to thank you, Jeffrey, for, because I was so fascinated with the other religions and how they were intertwined and how one religion sort of dismantles and unravels another by context and throwing things out of context. I fell in love with Buddhism, and I thought Buddhism was absolutely the best religion except Judaism until I went to Lhasa City in Tibet and found out what it was really like. Still like the Dalai Lama. But all of these things that I've done have been career paths. There was a book written many years ago called What Color is Your Parachute?
I used that in college. It was
okay. All right. It is probably a biblical text for anyone who has no idea how to put all these jigsaw puzzle pieces together. And I absolutely could not put my jigsaw puzzle together. I knew I was a teacher. It's not I wanted to be a teacher. I knew I was a teacher. I knew I had a lot of spirituality in me. I had a whole lot of education. I have an alphabet of letters after my name, okay? Which is fine. But it wasn't until I went to China in 2019. And yes, I was in Wuhan. I was in Wuhan at the lab. Oh, and we all came back sick. Everybody, I think we all had COVID. could have brought it with us. I don't know.
So it's your fault.
It's your fault.
It's your fault.
My fault. And I still haven't had COVID. And I was tested for antibodies and I don't have them. So anyways, I was in Lhasa City in the Buddhist temple. And I said, that's it. That's it. I cannot do this with walls. I can't do this with people giving me orders, what they did to the Dalai Lama. I saw what was going on with China before everything hit the fan between the different countries. And I said, I am going to finish my ordination. I actually had started because I went to the Jewish Theological Seminary, when I was in the early 1980s, but my eldest son developed an eye defect and I had to attend to that. And I was pretty close to the end, but they didn't have streaming back then. So I decided I was going to become a rabbi, but I wasn't going to be a pulpit rabbi. I was not going to have a board give me instructions and tell me how to teach children, because you can't put children in a box, no matter how hard you try. Everybody has to teach. And my dissertation, when I got my PhD, was putting tools in your toolbox so kids can read and comprehend. That was the name of my book that I wrote. And I have used my tools in my toolbox to help a bunch of kids, a lot of kids, and probably in the thousands at this point. And yes, it is a business. And how is it a business? Well,
hang on, Robin.
Okay.
Hang on, Robin. So a couple of things, because you've been mentioning some things that are very important. We are going to talk about the business side of it. So one of the things is you said that, you said it was my influence from being you and I talking about different religion. Well, you also started it too, because you invited, let's see, me, Jordy, Glenn, Bruce. No, Bruce wasn't part of that one because he was already there. Bunch of guys to synagogue, and you were so nervous that we were going to act up in synagogue, and so you exposed us to that, and then you came to a midnight mass when so who's was it Kenny? Oh, Kenny was Catholic.
Kenny Berman?
No, Kenny.
I don't think so.
Kenny.
He wasn't.
I was like, Kenny Berman went to my synagogue.
Kenny Horan.
Oh, Kenny. I love the Horans. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So
I love the Horans.
We loved him too, because his dad was the chief of police. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. But they were also, it was an excuse to go to Crescent Ridge Dairy on the way to their house.
Exactly.
That was the ice cream store, the best. I still go there.
Yep. Still there, still doing really well. And now it's the stopping spot in Sharon. Anyway, so
it is. I'm guilty. I still go.
And so it's these interactions that are very important. I remember your parents, you had a place on the Cape. And so I went down there, and Robin goes, help yourself to anything. So I get in the cabinet, I reach in, and I pull out a plate, and I'm using the plate. She goes, oh my God, those are the kosher plates.
No, the meat and dairy, right?
Look, and she washed them and cleaned. Put them away.
Well, lucky we didn't bury them out in the backyard.
So
yeah, I went through that too.
Don't tell my my grandmother. Oh my God. Anyway, so that was it. So it's those interactions that were important. So these are the things that kind of shaped, they added to your experience. I mean, were you committed at the time because you were working with kids? And now what I'm hearing, what you're talking about, your focus is primarily kids. You're really focused on the younger generation. I mean, was that formulating back then? And did that lead to that? And how did they connect? Because, how do people decide? How did Bill Gates decide? Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell. How do people decide their career? And there is a question, the question in there is what's the link between them? How strong were your memories from that?
That guided you to becoming a rabbi?
Well, it's what I was saying about what color is your parachute. it took all of the experiences that I had, and I don't regret any of the degrees that I had to get in order to get where I am now. Okay, I was 50 years old when I was getting my PhD, you know, but at that particular time, what led to the PhD thing was—
And PhD is in, just for everybody?
It's in educational neuroscience, brain-based learning. I am a curriculum developer for that whole concept, okay? Basically, I play with people's brains. For example, what I did was I say, okay, the brain has a bunch of lobes and they all fire off differently, okay? And sometimes more than one part of a brain is firing off at the same time. So you've got a kid that's moving around too much, or they're tapping on the desk and they're driving everybody crazy. Well, they can't focus because the other side of their brain is over active for the part that actually has to concentrate. So for the kid that was tapping on the desk, I went and bought these great big pipe cleaners, okay? The soft pipe cleaners, like drumsticks. I put him in the back of the room, okay? So that nobody could see him. I spoke to the parents and the school psychologists and all that. We won't even touch that subject. And we will, and I said, look, I want him to get a 504 plan or IEP so that somebody can take notes, so that all I want to see is how much can he listen if I can shut down the other part of that brain, okay? So I gave him the pipe cleaners and I said, tap away. Okay, where this child spent most of his time in the office for disciplinary action, after one class, she gave a quiz the next day with pipe cleaners in his hands, only auditory listening. He got a 75 on a test.
Nice.
Was he on the spectrum? Is that what it was?
It's not a spectrum thing. It's just they couldn't identify. They just said it was a bad
like
kid.
ADD or, you know.
I don't do the medical end of it. I don't touch it. I don't do any of that. I am 100% holistic. I'm playing with, tell me what's going wrong. I had a kid who needed to listen to music in order to do homework because it needed to occupy that portion of the brain. Some people need to watch television so they can listen to you speak. Okay. So what happened? My son is the problem child. So I had to find out what's wrong with him. So I had to go back to school.
Older one, younger one?
Number 3, the little one, the one that, okay.
Scotty.
I don't mean to get political, and you can cut this out of your story if you want. When I was 4.5 months pregnant, right at the point where abortions were still, legal. And I'm not talking politically, I'm talking about in California,
right.
You're allowed to, I think, till like 16 weeks or 20, I forget what the thing was back in 1992. They were doing one of those ultrasounds and they found out he had a kidney disorder. And it was a very serious kidney disorder and they weren't sure he was going to survive. And so this doctor told me to abort. I said, you're not God. I said, so does he have 2 kidneys? Yes. I said, then he'll live with 1 kidney. But you may not, no, you don't understand. He'll be on dialysis the rest of his life. P.S. Fast forward, 2022. Scott is 6'4", weighs 280 pounds, is a veterinarian in North Carolina. Okay. But because he had to have major surgery. And because he had major surgery, it caused he was under anesthesia for so long, it caused processing problems. But it wasn't until I went back to school and learned all about what could go wrong with the brain that I found out what could go wrong with the brain. So I went back to school so I could help Scotty. He was not the problem child. He was more brilliant than his IQ is over the chart. It just, he had a processing problem because of anesthetics. I became exceptionally spiritual because God and I had a lot of conversations about please don't take my child. So that was another little slope up.
You would
every decade had one.
Oh.
Well, in 1982, you remember when my dad died?
Yeah.
That was really hard. And I was like, he's 51 years old. What are you taking him for?
That's young.
So each one of those things I had to basically find God in my own terms.
You had said when you were in China and Wuhan, and it's funny the similarities. So February 2019, you're in Wuhan.
No, actually in October of 2019.
2019.
October, right, to October to November. Yeah, the worst time possible.
So February 2020, I'm teaching at UCLA, and I've got 30 students, all from Wuhan province. And I'm leaving UCLA to drive back. And I hear on the radio that they're stopping flights from Wuhan. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, UCLA is going to probably give me a call for what's going on. About 2 weeks later, hey, are you having any problems? Anyway, so similar as crossing paths in multiple ways. You had said, though, when you were in China, you decided no walls. Did you mean the walls like political barriers between the countries, or were you talking about walls of the church?
Literal walls. When I went to the Portola Palace, okay, that was the Dalai Lama's home before he was exiled, and I saw what was going on in there. And
what was going on?
Okay, there were these young boys in monk cloaks, shaven heads, in Michael Jordan sneakers with the latest iPhones, counting money in stacks. And I'm looking at these people. Okay, so that's over in their barrack area or their cot area. But in the religious area where all the statues are and all the shrines, there are these people. They look like they have nothing, and they're throwing their little dollars, what they have, in front of those shrines. And mind you, there is incense burning. And the other thing I don't know if you know is that they burn butter. They burn butter. I don't know if you've ever smelled burning butter.
Yeah.
A little bit difficult. So you got incense burning, you've got butter burning, you've got these incredible people that believe that these shrines have such holy power that they will give their last dollar, whatever they have, and they're teaching their children, you put it in there because we want to carry on our traditions to you that you are always giving. A big Jewish thing, tzedakah, charity, huge thing. It's great. Okay. And outside the walls, you see these people praying, and they're going on. And I could only see the monks, the young, they were probably 17, 18 years old, with money up to here, with the Michael Jordan sneakers and the iPhones texting. There was something in that paradigm that made me sick, besides the incense and the butter. And I said, there is something wrong with this physical structure.
So Robin, what you're talking about is the business side of religion, and all of them have it. I mean, Christianity, we've got the evangelist on TV, hi, if you're sitting on a bag eating Cheetos, naked on a beanbag eating Cheetos, send us $1,000. Yeah, you're not talking to me. And then we've got the Catholicism, same thing. I mean, the church is wealthy, and yet we've got all these things going on, and they're always collecting, and they're collecting from the poor so many times. So that exists in all religions, including Judaism. I mean, the synagogue does collect. Half of our family's Mormon. My mom's brother married a Mormon and became Mormon. So that side of the family.
But you're tithing. You're tithing.
Yeah.
They just built the LDS have the most gorgeous temples. And you know what? Mormon unto itself is they have a very strong following, and they just build that tithing into their sort of thing.
So what you're saying when you said walls, then how I'm trying to get in a context, you meant you just don't want to be part of a structure,
like a classroom.
You don't want to be part of that business of building bricks and collecting money and supporting the art and the stuff. Is that what you were saying?
Well, to transfer what happened in Tibet to what I was talking about was bust down those walls. See all that money you have there? See all those people out there? They need it. Do something with it. Don't buy your Michael Jordan sneakers. Right. You can buy Keds, okay? Or PF Flyers or something. I don't know.
They make you run faster and jump higher.
But you have to understand a core of Judaism is we don't pass the plate. That's not something they do in Judaism. You give donations and nobody tells you how much, how many, when to do it. You do it if it's a anniversary of someone's death or somebody does something wonderful, you send a donation to the synagogue and synagogues also charge a lot of money. And people think it's exorbitant, but you've got to support a building. You got to support a rabbi. You got to support a cantor. You got to support the custodian. You got to pay for the teachers. And they usually have what's called a building fund. And that can range depending upon whether you're in Yorba Linda or Beverly Hills. Your Beverly Hills, you're going to be paying a lot of money for these absolutely gorgeous edifices. And then you have synagogues who are nothing more than in shopping strip malls that are trying to, survive.
And all I can think about is Larry David right now as you're talking and all the trouble he got into over, what was it, a building fund? They did a skit on it. It was about money and position and what you do and who's recognized for what. He didn't give this and they said, anyway.
But the thing is that I have a problem with I have to phrase this
carefully,
politically correct. After 50 years of watching rabbis come and go, in this past year, unfortunately, 2 years ago, I watched an entire synagogue be taken down by the antics of a rabbi, and she destroyed an entire congregation. And she's now an independent clergy, which is basically what you call me, because I don't subscribe to, I'm not working in a specific synagogue. But then again, I don't subscribe to any specific division. I'm not Reform. I'm not conservative. I'm not Reconstructionist. I'm not Orthodox. My ordination, which is why I did it this way, is called Universal Judaism. And Universal Judaism is not a Christianity. It's not a ministry. It's not that. It's a full ordination. But it's sort of like taking the hit parade from all levels. You have to learn all about Orthodoxy and conservative and Reform and Reconstruction. The only thing I can't touch is Messianic, because that's a cult. It's not a religion. Right. And to me, that was more important. So with all of the things that I have learned through my career, 50 years, what had I seen? I'd seen so much discontent. I'd see people leaving a synagogue because they don't believe in the politics. The board is not behaving properly. They don't like the Hebrew teachers. Whatever, they can't do it because of soccer and baseball and band and Boy Scouts and all that. So what do you do when you can't do it? you leave, right? So I decided, you know what? My boss, besides my husband and my grandchildren, actually, my grandchildren run my life right now because I'm so madly in love with them. And yes, I am a pushover. It's the divine. That's my boss. That's who I report to. Me and Hebrew National, we report to higher authorities.
There you go.
And it's no joke, but I mean, I'm really serious. I have to answer for what I'm doing, for the purpose of why I'm doing it. So what am I doing? If you look at coast to coast life cycle events, that it's not a full launch yet. We haven't done a full launch. I don't have a business. Like I haven't gotten to that point because I needed to cast out a huge net to see if something like this is going to go. You know, you just can't start spending money and then go, well, I gave it a shot. I need to get all my ducks in a row. I need to see if there was a need. What is the need? To go out there and say, I'm here. If you have Judaism in your blood, think of Kamehameha High School in Hawaii. You only have to be 1/100th Hawaiian to go to Kamehameha High School. All right. So I'm saying, you know what? Instead of losing people to a religion, try and bring them back in without walls, without boards, without laws, without restrictions.
So how are you? So I know Michael's very successful surgeon. So it's not your lifestyle isn't dependent on the income you're getting. Could you make a living doing what you're doing, being an independent? You're kind of it sounds like you're cutting into new ground. And it also sounds like a lot of institutions, people are leaving the institutions, including Congress, hopefully, that are failing us. So,
but that's the point, Jeffrey.
Can you?
The institutions are failing the people.
Correct. Can you make a living at it?
Yeah. Oh, you certainly can. Certainly can.
How are you? Are you compensated like a teacher, or do they pay you for lessons, or how do you make some money at it?
Okay, so my structure is, I'm a very lousy businesswoman, and I found that out the hard way. And so I have to find people who are going to take care of the business end of it. I forget to get paid, or initially I did. That's why we have Venmo, because I'm usually running from student to student. And if they didn't give me the check, and basically what I do is unfortunately, I had to do way too many funerals during the COVID era. But here's a problem. A lot of those funerals were for my friends. What do? You don't charge your friends.
Yeah, no.
You don't charge your friends. So somebody says to me, Robin, that's lost income. I said, God will provide.
Yeah.
I said, God will provide.
And that's a form of tithe as well.
That's exactly what it is, because what it is, it's actually free advertising. And I don't mean to be gross about it.
Right. That
one person said, you know, Robin made us all breathe at Vic's funeral. He was very young. It was extraordinary circumstances. And we were all able to take a deep breath. And it wasn't an emotional, disaster. And I remembered to keep it to the point where everybody could breathe during a service. So what happens? They tell the next person who told the next person who told the next person. And that is how you start a business. Everything, you can't see dollar signs for everything. You need to go all the way down and be a manager at McDonald's, okay, to just get money so you can follow your passion, okay? You need to find something. Now, Michael is not funding me, if you will,
right?
All right? which is important because he's going to be retiring soon. And I'm still gearing up here. So it's going to be my responsibility once again. We sort of joke about it. When Michael was in medical school, I had 3 jobs so that I could support us until he could support us. And it's been this circle our entire marriage. We will be married 42 years this year. I know it sounds like
Mazel tov. That's a lot.
Thank you. But you make it. But if everything you do, if you start out saying, how much am I going to make? How much? Yes, you have to do projections. Okay. But you have to say to yourself, if I'm not within a building and I am not answering to somebody else, I make my own rules. So I'm doing funerals, and now I have additionals because of the people speaking kindly of me. My bread and butter, if you will, is I've been a Hebrew teacher for 50 years, and my name is known coast to coast. Mm-hmm. I will have students on the East Coast I was their parents' teacher, wow. And they said, Robin, can you help? And I'm like, sure. Okay, no problem. I mean, I used to do it by Skype before there was such a thing as FaceTime and Zoom and all that sort of stuff.
So do you help get ready for bar and bat mitzvahs and things like that?
Yes, that I have this since January, I've had 14 students a week that I have been coaching, running. And then
I remember.
And so 2 of them had their bar mitzvah last month. I have another one in 2 weeks. And I was just told by one of my other parents that we told somebody else who works at UCI about you, and that you're the 11-month wonder. I can take them from nothing to a bar mitzvah in 11 months.
So do you, like, I know it's a one-time event. I mean, once they've gone through the ceremony, they're done. Do you have a debrief with them afterwards? Okay, this is what you did well. This is what you didn't do so well. Oh my God, when you missed that.
No, I don't
go through
it.
No.
No. Because if they fail, I failed.
Right.
There is no such thing as a critical evaluation. They all wait. I tell them, the only thing you're going to wait for is this. And that means you nailed it. And regardless of whether or not they nailed it, they nailed it.
Right. It's either pass, don't pass.
There's no such thing as, because I won't let them do what they need to do if they can't do it. Okay. Yeah, no, yeah. There's certain things, and Rona will understand this, is you can't make mistakes on a Torah.
Right.
You can, people can flub little things. They can say a vowel wrong, but you're not allowed, because there's somebody, and that somebody is me, will be sitting there right next to the person who's doing their Torah portion. And under my breath, if they miss, I'll be going, Vayomer. And so they'll go, Vayomer Moshe. They'll go on, but all of a sudden they're like in a panic state, because they're not allowed to memorize anything, because your brain goes stupid, fight or flight sort of thing. And they go, oh my God, I don't remember anything. Well, if you know how to read, you don't have to worry about it. No, it's on me. And that's my business. But that is my business. If you want to know why my business is successful and why I'm keep getting referrals, it's because failure is not an option. And no, Gene Kranz never said that. That was just from Apollo 13. He never said that.
So real quick, what's the trend? Is it consistent? Because, and I'm drawing from my own experience. So Dad came to this country when he was 22. I've only got, his sister is the only living relative that I was connected to. She has a daughter and a son. And then they've gotten married, or the daughter's gotten married, and they have kids. I'm not connected to them at all. My oldest has moved to Australia. So what's happening is our culture is going away. There's not a tie with it. So are people is the culture of Judaism and bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah? Is it staying strong? Is it staying steady? Is there a resurgent? I mean, is it a good business?
It's an extraordinary business. It's an extraordinary business because you have to understand this business has been going on for 3,500 years now. Okay. And everything has its peaks and valleys and all that sort of stuff, but there are certain things. Now, granted, when a baby boy is 8 days old, regardless of what Russell Crowe has to say, most of them have a bris. Right. If they don't have a bris and they allow the child not to have a circumcision, they will still have what's called a simchat ben. They'll still have the ceremony of naming. It is, you will very rarely see in the Jewish faith someone who does not name their child. Okay. Bar and bat mitzvah, pretty much it's if grandma and grandpa are pushing that envelope. Grandma and grandpa are usually the ones in our time right now who are the ones that are saying, isn't it time for Yankel to have a bar mitzvah? And there's the parents are like, bar mitzvah, he's never been to Hebrew school. Ergo, they call me.
Right.
That's my business. That is my business. You have to find a niche where you are going to help people fulfill something that is in their DNA, okay? That they're going to feel complete. And when you do that, you're doing something for the right reasons. And then your business will perpetuate itself because you've now made somebody else feel good.
Right.
Because I'm so non-political, they know she's not going to talk about anything here except the Torah portion and prayers. That's it. That's Robin.
She's the
that's a really important concept.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's
you gotta stay out of that arena.
Yeah, as a spiritual leader, I think it's important to stay neutral because you don't know who your clients are, and you could ruin everything. I have a friend of mine who is a former friend who is a bit of a conspiracy theorist, and she has a really big business, and that's all I'll say. And she's lost half her clients because she pushes her agenda on everybody, and it's very off-putting. So that's you're very smart to not do that and just stay on point of religious training.
Well, the thing is that the rabbi I was talking to you about before, that's exactly what she did. She put a line down the middle, and it's like, look, God is not political. God's very, very, very clear. You believe in God, you believe in me, meaning Adonai, God, and it's one. It's non-idolatrous. There you go. The rest is commentary. Or do it as Hillel, do unto others as others will do unto you. The rest is commentary. That's Judaism. That's all there is to it. The political side of it doesn't exist. And for any rabbi, spiritual leader, I don't care what faith you are, to get out of that median, shame on you. And that I believe that in all businesses, entertainment, sports, get out of that arena. It's not yours.
Right.
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. And you know what? When people call me, the one thing they joke about, the first thing they say is, we know we're not going to be able to be political with you. I said, okay, that's how we're starting this conversation. Did you know why you were hiring me? I said, look, yes, I do know analytical chemistry. I do know calculus. I do know those other things, but that's not why we're here today. Okay. Is that what you were talking about? I know exactly what you're talking about.
So you got through COVID through, did you Zoom?
Oh my God. Yeah. 8 or 9 hours a day. My eyes, I've gone through more pairs of glasses.
And have you built Zoom in your business model going forward?
You have to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is one of the major tools in my toolbox that I was talking about before.
if you're coast to coast, you have to do Zoom.
And
Well,
not only that,
Yeah.
Well, you can do
Convenient.
telephone, but it's
no, but okay, so coast to coast. So anyways, I did a bat mitzvah with my sister Gwen, who did all the teaching, being the rabbi. I was the rabbi for this. There was 2 girls. So I flew across the country and did their b'nai mitzvah over there. Okay. But the conversations for me had to be Zoom. Anybody who's sick, it has to be Zoom. When the kids that I'm teaching now, if I have back-to-backs and I can't physically get from Santa Ana to Irvine, back up to Yorba Linda to Brea to Placentia, okay, everybody's on Zoom today. I got to sit and you're at 3 and you're at 4 and you're at 5 and you're at 6, off, on. And it's really funny when because I only have one Zoom thing. And but this is a great point. This is a great point. Because remember, I do kids individually. They're no longer in a Hebrew school. Okay. They don't know other Jewish kids. So what's really funny is when all of a sudden I'm teaching this kid and the other one comes on early. So now we're introducing these kids. So all of a sudden I'll step away for like a minute or 2. I go, all right, you guys just chat for a second. I got to get a drink of water. I didn't need to get a drink of water. I wanted them to chat. So next thing I know, they're on each other's whatever books and FaceTime, Instagram. And they're talking all of this stuff I don't even know how to define. And I went, okay, I'm glad you all had, but if folks are paying me, you go away, you stay here, let's get going. But it's that joking.
Good.
These kids have developed their own circle. And then this one tells the next one about this one that they just met, and they're having play dates.
That's awesome.
So going for the future, are you advertising at all? Do you have a specific Facebook account for,
Actually,
Robin,
a friend that I was ordained with you might see him on my Facebook page, which I'm very bad about. And I told you I'm a lousy businesswoman. And yes, I will have to pick that end of it up at some point. I'm just a little too busy working to actually do the part of that portion of it. But it's a really important part. And yesterday he posted, Jeffrey, are you on my Facebook page?
Yes.
Take a look and you can see he did an advertisement for Gwen and I for Coast to Coast on my Facebook page.
Oh, nice.
It's like, he goes, if you don't do it, nobody is going to do it, Robin. You've got to get, And so I went, okay, fine. So yeah, I need to solidify the business end of it. Okay.
Right. You have to really understand your business model in order, and you'll be able to grow it should you want to. Right. Do you do weddings and that sort of thing? Or is it?
I do everything. Everything. And the thing is, all I am is Robin go, Robin do, Robin put it on your calendar. Robin go, Robin do, Robin put it on your calendar.
You'll need a virtual assistant to help.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You want to see my virtual assistant?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
And yes, we are connected. And it was Brian Denker that put the ad up for you.
Yeah, it's Brian Denker. And
you don't do that much on it, which is why you're not popping up in my feed that much. So we are connected on there. You've got to do more. You need a business plan. Do you have a business plan? You got to find somebody to write you a business plan.
Jeffrey can help you with a business plan. You can write them.
I know it's just, it's flowing right now. So that's my, as we're kind of winding this down, where do you want to take it in the future? What do you see? Do you have any ideas for the future that you can share? Not trade secrets or anything like.
There's no trade secrets because I share with everybody. Whatever I have and I created, like curricula or anything, if somebody calls and says, Robin, do you have a this or you have a that? Boom, it's sent.
Do you know about Teachers for Teachers?
I know teachers paying teachers, and I have a real problem with that because I don't believe that teachers have to pay teachers to help each other. I think there has to be, it's like you don't charge family.
Wait a second.
You don't.
There's a different perspective. I'm going to give you a different perspective on that. Teachers for Teachers, if you have a great curriculum, then people are more than happy to pay for it. You're helping raise the quality of teachers. Like, for example, one of the kicks I'm on right now is they should be teaching finance, accounting and finance in K-12. And they should also, what else were you saying they should?
Law, basic
law, because that's the problem. People don't understand the role of SCOTUS and these decisions that are coming down that people are getting so political about. SCOTUS is actually trying to clean up some messes that were made that our politicians should have cleaned up and haven't. They've kicked the bucket down the road. And people are blaming SCOTUS for the decisions they're making. So, I agree
with you. I told you I'm a lousy businesswoman. I give out everything that I have. No, that's a really good point. And I know that it's really funny. I wrote a prayer book that I'm using for all of these independent bar and bat mitzvahs, but I said you can't distribute it. You can't do anything because I didn't get copyright approval on everything, and so I have to take it back.
Correct.
And the thing is that until I am solid, until I have my business plan, until I know, I think until we have an inner circle, actually we're thinking between my sister, Rabbi Brian, who's in Brooklyn. So we'd have Massachusetts, New York, and California. That would be our coast to coast.
Wait, Brian, your son is a rabbi as well?
No, Brian Danker, the one you saw on there.
He's a rabbi.
Brian's
Brian's
a prosecuting attorney from Montgomery County, Rockville.
I thought maybe on the side he's a rabbi. Who knows?
Definitely not. Definitely not. No, he's different. But no, Jeffrey, you are spot on correct. But I have an issue that everything has to be payment. I don't know. Maybe that's just the tzedakah side of me, charitable side of me. I don't know. It's like, if I do it, I'm happy to share it. I probably say, look, you just got to give credit where credit is due. Maybe if I do something fantastic that I publish, if you will, then I'll charge for it. I'll write a book and I'll charge for it. But you asked a question, where does this go in the future? The future is happening right now because more and more people, the older generation is dying, the one that was observant. And they making requests going, is this going to die with me? And people are starting to take responsibility for who they are, the traditions that were brought up in their family. And regardless of intermarriage and regardless of where their family dynamic is, if this is where they want to go, there's going to be somebody who's going to say, regardless of race, gender, religious persuasion, whatever, is going to say, if you want it, I can do it. I'll do it. And I'll do it with love, and I'll do it with you, and I'll make it happen for you. And I think that's what everyone's business plan should be, is your mission for your business, regardless of your mission statement, is how am I going to make my client happy? What can I do to improve their lives? Lives right now are so difficult. Everybody is at everybody else's throat. If you can do something and present something in a way that you can just check off a box on them, and they can say, thank goodness I can do this, I think your business is going to be a winner because you care. And if you show courage and you plod through and you're kind, I think that's the greatest business plan in the world. And that's why my phone is ringing nonstop, even though I don't have a business plan.
That's okay.
I have a business, not a business plan.
Not every business, I think, has to have a business plan. You know, and there's more than one school of thought on that. Obviously, he thinks everything needs a business plan. And, you know, and I do have one for mine. Very, very simple. It's like 1 or 2 pages. You don't need a 15-page business plan for everything.
No, lean business plan, one pager.
Yeah. That's all you need.
I wouldn't even know how to write one. You should have seen when I had to write a personal statement.
To ask Jeffrey.
Just wrote one for a friend 2 days ago.
Yeah. He does it in no time. He's really good at that.
So
yeah.
Anyways, that's my future. My future is to do what I'm doing. Any kind of life cycle. And
there you go.
You know,
it's reputation and you know, that's the best kind of advertising you can get, positive word of mouth, because it's from people they know, as opposed to, and I was in advertising for a long time. And it's more comforting when you know the person who has had the experience, or, you know, bought the same product, if you will, because you are a product that people buy. And so that's, I think, is the best type of marketing there is.
Well, it's really funny because 2 families that I'm currently teaching little ones for, they called me a commodity.
Yeah.
It was really funny. I was like, okay, put me on a shelf. I'll probably collapse the shelf, but that's okay. And she says, no. She said, you are a commodity where you can make kids relax and not be scared that you're going to go through the door. And that has been our greatest fear, is that the kids are going to be scared because they don't know what to expect. I went, well, if that isn't the greatest compliment that you can ever get, is that when you walk in, people go, you're here, yay! Or instead of they, it's back.
So,
you know?
Robin, that has been you your whole life, as long as I've known you. You were always the person bringing people together. You were running the yearbook. That's how you got me onto the yearbook staff and doing stuff like that. Gosh, long time ago. And what you talked about the business model, I highly encourage the model you're running, and we're seeing that more and more. People are. It's kind of like the Old West, you know, they put it on the movies. I don't think it was exactly that way. In the Old West, you know, the doctor who would go and take care of people, they would share their expertise, and they might get a chicken, they might not get any pay me when you can, those kinds of things, that kind of attitude. I think it's coming back. We went to this industrial revolution, walls, join the company, wear the straight coat, you know, wear the straight jacket, suit and tie and all that stuff. And now people are deciding, nah, it's not working for me. I have different passions, and I'm going to find a way to make it work. And never has it been easier to do that. Yesterday we talked to two young ladies, 23, 25, Mary and Leah Woods, and they are just going viral now because they played a game on TikTok called, what was it?
He's a 10 butt.
He's a 10 butt, and it's going viral now. And these guys and they've got friends helping them out with their website,
no clue what they're doing,
getting things done. People are trying. It's like it's a war between people that want to create problems and the people that want to heal the world. And just to hear the way you're doing things, it's all that healing that's going on, and that's very, very important. And a business plan and Venmo really help, because you got to have cash.
Yeah.
You know,
all right.
Even God has cash.
You know what?
I'm sure.
So maybe someday we'll do a part 2, and it will be now that I already have my referrals and all that. Now let's formalize it. And I believe that's
a podcast,
Jeffrey, it's a very important point that you're making, is that it does have to be formalized, and you do have to have control over it. It can't be running itself. I have to run it. God's not going to run it for me. He goes, Robin, I'm bringing you your students, but you need to take care of this. Right. But before I made that investment to see whether or not this is even going to fly, and if there is a need, and that's what I'm finding, that I am filling a niche, but it's not just a niche, of another job or another offering. It's something to make people feel good, and to, you know, it completes them. It completes them. There's, you know, you don't know how spiritual people are until you realize that there's something missing. And when people realize that the spirituality that there is, not everybody is agnostic, even though they say they are, there is something in there. And if you have the ability to have them raise their level of consciousness to say, you know what, there is a reason why the sun rises and the sun sets, and the flowers come when they do, and they bloom on the certain season. If you can accept that at all, then there's a little bit of spirituality in you. And if you can tap on that, you've got a wonderful basis for conversation. And then relationships developed. And I've been working with one family now for 10 years, and all they do is, before the kids sit down, they want to sit and talk.
Nice.
They want to sit and talk.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's another part of my business.
I was going to say, that's, you know, when I was going through my bat mitzvah and I was confirmed after that, and there were times that, you know, Rabbi Robin, I went to school with his, with Jackie, his kid, and he was like a second dad, you know, so you just feel safe with somebody who is a spiritual advisor, you know, you can trust.
Well, and they have an opportunity to talk to somebody who's not going to talk to anybody else.
Right.
But without an opinion, okay, because I'm not big on opinions. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that I'm a factual kind of person. I will relate it to what it says in the Torah or in the Midrash or, you know, one of the commentaries. This is what it says. And a lot of times I'll say, that's a really good point. I'm going to look it up. I'll get back to you next week. Same time, same station, Batman. And we do this, and it's cute, but what am I doing? There's my business plan, Jeffrey. There's my business plan. I've created a congregation outside of walls. I'm here for people. I don't want to hear the tsuris, though. You know, I'm not I tell them I have a PhD, but it's not in psychology. Don't even go there. All right. I can't fix your marriage, but I can refer you to somebody.
Right.
All right. I mean, if it has of a spiritual nature, and somebody just has a question, or they're lost, I'm a resource. I'm a walking, talking Rolodex, you know, and
I'm putting you in my phone.
There you go. I'm going to, as long as I don't go in the back door of a bathroom, you know. You never know.
They're going to make a series out of you. Call Robin.
That's right.
Call Saul.
Who is that? Call Saul? Was that from
Breaking
Bad?
Call Rubinstein. Very good.
I'd rather call Rubinstein. There you go.
Yeah. Nobody knows Rubinstein. They think of Michael. All of my titles are just Robin, whether I'm Dr. Robin,
better call
Mora Robin, which means Robin the teacher,
right,
or Rabbi Robin. I don't use my last name.
Yeah. Getting real with Robin.
Getting real with Robin.
With Rabbi Robin.
Oh, getting real with Rabbi Robin.
Oh my God, an alliteration. I signed my name on the bottom of things as R cubed. I'm Rabbi Robin Rubinstein. I'm R cubed.
It's brilliant. Brilliant.
Getting real with Rabbi Robin Rubinstein. Say that 10 times fast.
Right.
You crazy.
Just go Rabbi Robin with it.
Yeah,
you
that's
crazy wabbit. Okay. Any final questions for Robin? This has been great. This has been great.
I was mostly a bystander because you guys have known each other for so long. It was just fun listening to the back and forth. No, I think we're good. I certainly appreciate what you do for the Jewish religion as well as the human side of things, you know. So it was a fascinating take on how a rabbi who is not associated with a particular synagogue makes a living and helps people. So I definitely appreciate that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I do it without angst.
Yeah.
It makes me happy because
Which
I don't deal
also
with drama.
makes you a mutant Jew. So there.
So
Wait,
it was really fun, you guys. It
there's
was
no
great.
drama. What's
It's
wrong with her?
Thank you, Robin. Thanks
Thank
for your
you
time.
so much.
And we will do this live with you. This whole setup is mobile, so we can do it live. We can also stream it. We haven't crossed that one yet.
Yeah,
we're still working.
We
on
will
that
play again, and I
I look
hopefully
forward to
I will meet you in person soon.
Okay.
Let's do that. Seriously.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Okay.
All right, my friends.
Much
it
love.
was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Be well. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
You've been listening to the Biz-Souls podcast with your hosts, Rona Lewis and Jeffrey Hansler. Did you have fun? Subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Talk to you next week.